We're back. This is Knockout, and you're in the ring with Greg Peterson. Today, we're going to talk about illegal immigration on this Webisode. The government of Mexico believes that Arizona belongs to Mexico. And in fact, this is not just a fringe or a small minority of the Mexican people. A recent survey showed, and we'll post the link on the YouTube channel so you guys can see it, 58% of the Mexican adult population believes that Arizona belongs to Mexico. Well, that makes sense, right, Tyler? I mean, of course they're going to oppose the law if they think that Arizona is disputed territory. So that seems to make a lot of sense. But in my view, crime is a behavior, not a race. Criminal is not a race. Whether the person jumping the fence is, Chinese, white, black, brown, Hispanic, I really don't care. I just want enforcement. And frankly, I don't have a problem with immigrants coming to the country. I think they add a lot to the country, and most of them are absolutely not a threat at all. I agree. But we can't tell the 90% of the good guys from the 10% of the bad guys. We can't tell the narco mafia from the good guys, because right now it's a free-for-all on the border. It's a completely chaotic situation. We have the gentleman, the rancher that was killed. His name is, I've got it here somewhere. Krentz, I think was his name. The rancher. You remember that, Tyler? The guy that was shot in his own home by illegal immigrants?
On his own ranch.
On his own ranch. And then they retreated. They found the footprints going right back into Mexico. So literally now American citizens are being murdered along the border in their own homes. And there's just no effort to stop it. And, of course, the majority of illegal immigrants are good-natured, family-oriented people. No one disputes that. But how can you tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys when we just have an open flow? Right now, the bathtub is flooding over. We've got the faucet on, and we're putting towels on the bathroom door. Why don't we reach over and turn off the faucet and then worry about cleaning up the water on the floor? Seems to me that doesn't make any sense to just mop up when we don't stop the source. So until the border is secure, there is no discussion of amnesty. There's no discussion of immigration reform until we have security on the border. The American people are not going to buy it this time. Ronald Reagan was tricked in the 80s. He was tricked. He was told, yeah, we'll do amnesty now, and then we'll get to that border security later. We'll do that thing later. We'll do it later. And, it never happened. In the 90s, same song, different verse. We've seen this before. We get the, we give away the amnesty, and we never get the border security. Enough. Now's the time for border security. So speaking, and that's a nice intro to, the race card being played against, of course, anybody who opposes, an open border is a racist. Tyler, you know that, right? You're a racist. I'm a racist.
I am definitely a racist.
We're all racists because that's the card that's played on us. Tell me a little bit about La Raza. You made a great comment earlier about La Raza.
Well, La Raza, NAACP, KKK, the one common thread that all these organizations have is they promote a race. All different races, but nonetheless, they all promote race. And by definition, they are all racist because they promote race.
That's a great point, because they're not, La Raza is not pushing economically disadvantaged rights for the poor. They're not advocating the rights of the poor. They're strictly interested in a race, one race,
right,
over all others. I think that's a great point. I mean, obviously, that's going to provoke a lot of hate mail and comments right there. The fact that you just compared La Raza to the KKK, I'm anticipating a strong response to that. But I can't say that it's wrong. How is it different? If Organization A, Group A, B, and C are all set up to advocate race A, race B, and race C, it's like the Supreme Court Justice John Roberts said. He said one of the best ways to stop discriminating based on race is to stop discriminating based on race. So
now, a little caveat to the KKK. Obviously, the KKK took it a little too far. I mean, with lynchings, murders. I mean,
right. Disgusting, yes. Terrible organization, a disgusting group.
Right, which obviously the NAACP nor La Raza advocate those types of measures?
Well, I don't know. If you look closer at La Raza, there is some very extreme language. It calls for war, liberation of an occupied Arizona. Really? That's been that's been a policy of La Raza for some time. It's called La Reconquista. And I speak, fluent Spanish. I've done some reading on this. We'll get a link up on the site of some of the more inflammatory claims that have been made by La Raza, reconquering, using violence if necessary, preferably just using overpopulation, but using violence if necessary, reconquering the western United States. That's their agenda. Absolutely is the agenda of La Raza. And they make no secret about it. There are, we've had several incidents of in Southern California and Arizona of American flags being lowered at schools. Have you seen this, Tyler?
No, I haven't.
And they've raised American flags, and the kids are all Mexican kids, and so it raises the question of what are they being taught? What is La Raza teaching young people that would cause them to do that? Because they didn't just tear down the flag. They put a Mexican flag up in the place of the American flag. It's happened several times. We can document that.
That's
Why?
Scary. That's scary.
La Raza is teaching this Reconquista doctrine. The doctrine of the Reconquista, or the Reconquest, is what that translates to. So that's, Robert Krentz, by the way, is the name of the murdered rancher. And I believe that it's the attitude of Amnesty that caused his death. I mean, it could have been prevented. Mexico, the message needs to be sent to the government. Mexico, Arizona is not yours. You're not free to do what you want with our land and our sovereign territory. Arizona is not in dispute. It's not a disputed territory. And we should not be importing third world poverty from Mexico. Mexico is a failed state. It's listed as such alongside Pakistan by the major organizations who evaluate failed states around the world. I forget the name. There's an NGO out there that ranks nations based on corruption of the government and failure of a state, essentially. Pakistan and Mexico are the two top failed governments in the world right now. It's a failed state. Hundreds of thousands of kidnapping. Kidnapping is a cottage industry in Mexico. Cottage industry. We're importing third world poverty, and this corrupt government in Mexico, not necessarily the people to blame, can't blame them for going along with it, but the government of Mexico is exporting its poverty, exporting its criminals, exporting its problems to us. And we're not smart enough to stand up, build a fence, and stop it. Not a chicken wire fence, a 22-footer with a road down the middle and a 22-footer on the other side with barbed wire. Not going to stop everybody. I know it's not going to stop everybody, but it will dramatically slow down the flood of millions and millions of fence jumpers that are in the country now. We don't even know how many millions of them. Some say 12 million, some say 20 million, could be 30 million by some estimates. We have no idea how many illegal immigrants have crossed into this country. Some overstay their visas, that's true, but the outright breaking into our country is absurd and has to be stopped. So there's a backlash, I think, that's coming. I think, when people see Mexican flags flying at these Amnesty rallies, people just carrying the Mexican flag instead of the American flag. Well, what do they expect? No backlash? Illegal immigrants of all races, I don't care what their country of origin, they should be deported back to their country of origin. Illegal immigrants have rights. Let me be clear. Illegal immigrants have the right to remain silent. They have the right to a speedy trial for their crimes, a fair trial for their crimes. Unlawful entry into this country is a crime. You've broken the laws of the country as your first act. So what reason to believe that after breaking the law to come into the country as their first act, that they're suddenly just going to obey the laws after that? Phoenix is the #2 kidnapping center of the world right now.